Welcome, everybody. I'd like to open our December 8th, 2025 annual organizational meeting and regular board agenda. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed. Item 1.1, call to order and flag salute. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moving on to item 1.2, roll call, starting with Nancy Bennett.
Present.
David Straub.
Present.
Donald Cruiser.
Present.
Priscilla Stevenson. Marilyn Puget. Present. And are we calling any staff or just us? Okay. Item 1.3, approval and adoption of our agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Moving on to item 1.4, annual organizational meeting, election of officers. I would like to nominate Nancy Bennett for the president seat and nominate myself for vice president for ease of our transition. Do I have a second?
I'll second both those.
Yeah.
Thank you. All in favor?
And you should do discussion before taking the vote.
Everyone is willing to do the job, it looks like.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. All right, I will hand the meeting over to Nancy Bennett. Thank you very much. Congratulations. You can start item 1.5.
Okay.
Oh, that's effective right now?
It's
Yeah,
effective
right
now.
Okay.
That's how it happens.
We don't
Pressure is
mess around.
All right.
You have some big shoes to fill, so I hope you guys are patient with me. Thank you. Item 1.4, annual organization meeting of the did we just do that one?
Yep.
We just did that one, okay. Whew. Okay. 1.5, approval and adoption of minutes of November 10th, our regular board meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move we approve item 1.5.
I'll second.
Okay.
I almost said all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I need to interject right here. I'm sorry. I think there's a mistake here because 1.6, adoption of the minutes of the Mendocino County Committee on School District Organization. Even though it's the same group, that should be adopted when the committee convenes. See what I'm saying? So that if the public were to show up and say, I want to hear about those minutes, they would be attending that meeting. So I'm sorry, I missed that before. So we should,
Are we deleting it?
we don't need to delete it. We just, in the function of a board, we actually have no authority you have no authority to take action on this. It's only when you convene as that committee.
Okay, gotcha, understand. Okay, moving on to item 1.7, public participation. Do we have any public participation? Okay, moving on to item 1.8, remote attendance of a board member. Looks like we're all present, so that doesn't apply. Moving on to 2.1, poets in the schools.
Yeah, so we put this on because we had an issue with poets in the schools that we did not anticipate being resolved by the time we had this meeting, so we wanted to make sure that it could, if the public wanted to come talk, that they could. The issue, so Poets in the School is a program funded by Mendocino County Office of Education. There's money set aside for that, and the funding pays for poets, local poets, to get into schools and to teach poetry. It's a wonderful program. The issue that we encountered is that because we're an LEA, a local education agency, the funds all the work that we pay for has to be categorized as either certificated work or classified work. So either STRS, State Teacher Retirement, or PERS, Public Employees Retirement System. and I've never felt like such a bureaucrat as I am right now explaining this, but this work has been deemed to be the work of PERS, because otherwise it would require that people have a credential to do this, and they're poets, they don't need to come, they're augmenting what's happening in the classroom, they're not taking the place of it. And so, any retired teacher cannot work and cannot be paid as a poet in the school. And so so at this point, we're able to move forward with this, but we aren't able to pay, we are not able to employ anyone who is a retired teacher. Fortunately, as it currently stands, the main person who runs this, while she has been a teacher, is not retired from the state teachers retirement system, so she's able to continue in her capacity of kind of leading this work. They're paid like kind of like you would pay a coach, an athletic coach. It's not a full-time job. So we are still trying to find ways to make it so that anyone, whether a retired teacher or not, can do this work. But for now, we're able to proceed with very little interruption and still comply. The issue with the STRS and PERS, there's no decision for this body to make. There's no decision for me to make on this. This is a decision made by STRS and PERS. And one thing that is really important that we always keep in mind is that when it comes to STRS and PERS, we must comply. If we do not, the agency may pay a penalty, but worse than that is the retiree could pay a penalty. And we never want to put somebody in that position where they're being penalized in their retirement system. So we hopefully we can find a way to make it so that retired teachers can also participate, but we're just pleased to be able to move forward with this as we go. Yeah.
Seemed like I remember where somehow or other they made a special allotment that allowed retired teachers to come in and substitute teach, didn't it?
They can substitute teach because that work has been determined to be STRS work. This work, however, and just to give a more kind of dramatic comparison, a retired teacher cannot come in and be employed as a substitute or regular custodian or food service or secretary. It's the same sort of idea. Unless we want to create it so that all the poets have to have active credentials, which would eliminate most of them, then it's PERS work, and so retired teachers can't do it. Retired teachers can, as retirees, go and do certificated work. But, so, like I said, I have never felt like such a bureaucrat as I do right now.
Yeah.
But that is the system that we have, and it's not something that we can maybe try to influence for change or legislation that may influence this, but that was the issue that we had, and because we had we thought that this was going to impact more people. We anticipated many people coming to the board meeting to advocate for the Poets in the School program, which we are moving forward with. So that's a summary of it.
So if there were a poet who was a retiree from the PERS retirement system, they would be allowed to?
They would. In fact, some teachers who may have started out as a teacher's aide and then became a teacher, they can remain in PERS. And if they retire from PERS, they can do the Poets in the School. However, if they're a teacher that was never in PERS, is only in STRS, they cannot.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yes,
Very confusing.
Yeah.
yes. This is, yes, and the rules for PERS and STRS are somewhat fluid, but they are not becoming more permissive, they're getting more restrictive. So that was that.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on to item 2.2, student board member report. Our student board member is absent. Did they
She's
submit
not here.
a written report?
There's no written report.
Moving on to item 2.3, press release for the MCOE Bring Holiday Joy to Homeless Youth.
Yes, so you can see that press release, and there's also a flyer if any of you are interested in contributing. I know some of you already have. You can contribute as you leave if you want to actually get a gift rather than make a cash donation. In our entryway in the front building, there are gift tags you can take and buy gifts for students who are experiencing homelessness.
Okay, and then they can also write a check to the
They can.
county, and, okay. And if you do it online, there is a little bit of a fee, but
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I brought my old school checkbook
checkbook.
that I never bring with me anymore, so.
All right, moving on to discussion action item 3.1, proclamation, School Board Appreciation Month.
right, so when we try to bring the different resolutions to you a month prior to the month of acknowledgement or celebration. And so January is Board Member Appreciation Month, and so there is that attached resolution. Also, one thing that we have done, to the extent possible, board members, once our boards within our county have approved their 2026 board calendars, we'll put together the dates of all the January board meetings, and I will try to get to as many of those meetings as possible. If I can't go, some other staff member will try to go, and then we'll share that schedule with you, and if you would like to attend with us any of the board meetings, you are more than welcome to do that. We give them a copy of the resolution, usually just during public comment, and we bring small mementos or something with MCOE's logo on it as a gift of appreciation to all the board members to recognize the work that they do. So we don't have that schedule yet because their board calendars haven't been approved yet, just like ours has not. But when we do, we'll send that out in a Google Doc and you can sign up. And if you can't attend any meeting, it's completely understandable. The timing of it can be pretty inconvenient depending on your schedule. So we will get that out as soon as we're out.
Thank you.
Thank
Always
you.
a great thing to do.
Yeah.
I do have
It
a
is.
question.
Yes.
Since this is dated December 8th, and it says Marilyn Puget President, are we gonna change this to Nancy Bennett?
Yes.
Okay.
We just, sorry.
Because we didn't have prior,
Yeah.
when, it's probably still valid, whoever signed it.
Right.
I was president until, how many minutes?
I won't be offended if you sign it.
It's all good, whatever you guys decide, I just wanna be on the up and up here.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you all for doing what you do. It's a great team. Okay, moving on to item 3.2, local planning council application approval.
Dr. Odell, is this you?
Yes, this is for our early education and care department. This happens annually, and we basically are approving their the membership for the local planning council. And there you'll see attached that there is 2 applications for the memberships for Brandy Maxwell and Janice Hartley, if I said that correctly, hopefully. And I don't know if there's any questions. This is just something we do annually. It has gone through their piece at the local planning commission and been approved there.
I move that we approve the 2 applicants in item 3.2.
Do we have a second?
Also, I just had a question because it seems like there's more than 2 names on this document that I'm seeing. So which are the 2 new ones?
Let me just reopen.
Because I see Brandy Maxwell at the top, but then as I scroll down, there's several other.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there's a lot of different. There's a lot of people in place for the council. I apologize. We are approving 2 new members for that, and one is just looking at.
Brandy Maxwell and Janice Hartley.
Yes, and one is a parent, and one is a special education teacher and parent for our in the county.
Is that the Kate Dunlap?
Kirsten Lima Dunlap?
So they both have, it looks like we have different pieces to the application there. That's the other application, and this is for, they are a childcare provider as well as a consumer of the services. So there's a couple applicants here. I wish I had early education and care here to explain it more fully, but it's already gone through their council approval at the local planning. So this is kind of a approval at the county level. because we oversee the LPC.
Dr. Odell, I just wanna make sure it's clear. So is Kirsten Lima Dunlap and Janice Hartley the people that they're approving, or because the application has a different name on it? And I wonder if we should postpone this and get early learning here. Sorry, with being out last week for CSBA, we didn't do our normal prep for the.
And I apologize, I was out as well, my husband was very ill all week. I could also just see if she's available.
Yes, so let's move on and we can come back to it when she comes back.
Nicole, did we get a count for the proclamation?
Oh, early learning and care is right here. Look at this.
Perfect. Just want to answer any questions. I'm Maddie. I'm the coordinator for the council.
Maddie, the membership certification, there's an application for Janice Hartley and Kay Dunlap.
Yes. So what is on here is two parts. So there's Janice Hartley has previously been a member of the council. She's just switching her category of membership, which requires reapplying.
Okay.
Kirsten Lima Dunlap is a new person applying. So it's approving those applications for those members. And then also we annually have to submit to the state our membership certification, which lists all of our members. So that's why there's more names, because some of them have previously been members. And so we just, if you approve the new members, then this form will be accurate and you would approve this. We also get it signed from Board of Supervisors, and then we submit it to Department of Social Services.
So the action that they need to take is to, I wanna make sure that the motion is clear. Do they need a motion to approve the two new applicants, Hartley and Dunlap, and the membership certification?
Yes, both parts.
So I will change
we
my
need to-
motion to approve Hartley and Dunlap and the membership certification. Item 3.2.
Thank you. And do we have a second? Or,
Yeah, I'll second.
okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you
Thank you.
for clarification.
Yolanda, you had a question about the last board
Was there a motion on the proclamation?
There was
Yes.
Marilyn, and I believe David seconded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good recall.
Just fast.
The pressure. Good thing I had my coffee. Okay, moving on to item 3.3, consideration and approval of the 2025-2026 first interim budget.
Okay.
I have Suzanne Steele here to guide us through this.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm going to present the first interim budget today. You should all have a copy of my presentation in front of you. It makes it easier to read, but it's also on the screens. I'm going to start by going over the budget cycle. And the purpose of a budget is to allocate resources, meet goals, and ensure that public funds are spent responsibly. Interim budgets are developed so that we can monitor and adjust different budget components according to the goals of the county office. So the first item in the budget cycle is a June adopted budget. We developed that beginning in April, and the work continues through May of each year. And we use the information that we have available at the time. Then we close the prior year's books after that. And the result of closing the books are a set of reports called unaudited actuals, and those are submitted to CDE by October 15th. Then we move on to the first interim budget, and this is a significant budget because it's developed after we've closed the books and we know the actual numbers from the prior year. And this allows us to more accurately budget carryover, revenues, and expenditures, and it's due to CDE by December 15th. And then the final one in the budget cycle is the second interim budget, and that is developed in February each year and is due to CDE by March 15th. So you can see that we're the bottom circle there in the budget cycle, and we're gonna go over the first interim budget today. So what has occurred since adopted budget? 24-25 P2 was published by CDE.
Can you explain what P2 is?
Yeah, so it's a reporting period where they capture ADA and property taxes to calculate the funding for all school districts and county offices. The 24-25 books were closed. New or revised funding sources were made available, and the new or revised expenditures became known. The effects of this on the first interim budget are that we were able to budget the actual carryover from the 24-25 unaudited actuals. There was a slight adjustment to our alternative education ADA. There was a 2.3% COLA applied to our county operations grant and our LCFF funding. LCFF funding is local control funding formula. Revenues and expenditure adjustments were also made per the revenue changes. And the adjustments included on this first interim budget were increases to beginning fund balance, revenues, expenditures, and our ending fund balance, including unappropriated. So this is just a little snapshot of the budget in total. So, and it also compares it to the June adopted budget. So you can see at first interim, our projected beginning fund balance, it's actually known beginning fund balance, is $29.6 million. That's an increase of $4.7 million from the June adopted budget. Revenues also increased, and they're now $29.7 million. That's a little over $1 million increase. Expenditures saw an increase as well. They're at $33 million. And then there's a net decrease to fund balance of $3.5 million, and I'll go into that a little later on. Our ending fund balance is $26.1 million, and that's a $2.8 million increase. So now we're going to get into the details. So fund balance, the beginning fund balance is $29.6 million, and that's an increase. And this is the actual beginning fund balance that was a result of closing the 24-25 books. The increase includes carryover and also a surplus of actual revenues over actual expenditures. Carryover includes amounts reserved but not expended in resources that allow a fund balance. And also there are resources that are ongoing or multi-year, and all of the revenue had been received in a prior year, but they weren't spent in that year. So since they're multi-year funded, we're able to spend those in subsequent years. Total projected revenues are $29.7 million, and we saw increases in all of our sources of funding, some more than others. The LCFF revenue limit increased $155,000. That's our main state funding. It's our apportionment. The increased projected revenue was due to a 2.3% COLA, which was added to our alternative education funding. And our alt ed funding gets a base grant, and they also get supplemental and concentration. We also applied a 2.3% COLA to our county operations grant. And then the local property taxes, which is another main source of our funding, those were budgeted per the P2, 24-25 P2. Federal revenues increased $22,000, not much. There was a significant increase in Title I Part D, delinquent and neglected. It was an $85,000 increase. The rest were decreases. We saw decreases in Title I Part A, supplemental inclusive practices, Title II, Title IV, and mental health awareness training. State revenues increased $742,000. The increase is due mainly to Learning Communities School Success Grant. A new cohort is beginning, and we saw an increase of $680,000. And I believe it's a 3-year grant, so that $680,000 is to be spent over 3 years. California Community School Partnership also increased about $51,000. Other increases included mandated costs, the Alternative Education Student Support and Enrichment Block Grant, Foster Youth Coordination Program, Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, and Home to School Transportation Reimbursement. The only decrease we saw in state revenues was the K-16 Redwood Initiative, and that decreased about $14,000. Local revenues increased $132,000. This is also a net increase. There were some decreases, some increases. Notable increases were in our interagency services, $301,000. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the expenses. The alternative education base grant and supplemental concentration increased $36,000. That was due to the COLA and also to a slight ADA change. The juvenile justice snack pack donation increased $20,000. Last year they donated $50,000. This year they're going to donate $70,000. And then the county medical services program, $150,000. That's a new grant. There was a decrease in MSCS steering, $28,000. The CYBHI, California Youth Behavioral Health Initiative, and that was a $612,000 decrease, but we still have the funds available. They were just taken out of revenue because we received all of them last year, and now they're in the fund balance, but we can still spend those.
Suzanne?
Yes.
What is the acronym the Cal MSCS steering stand for?
Nicole?
That's the California Math, Science, Computer Science Steering Committee.
Oh,
We had a member that was on that steering committee for the state. They reorganized that committee, and so we lost that seat, which means we lost the money that was funding that seat.
Okay, and you just clarified my second question. We still have those funds because youth behavioral health is instrumental.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we're still working on that, and I believe we have through 2027.
They keep extending it, so I'm not sure what the current date is.
Okay, yeah. So they're still doing work on that,
Oh, wonderful.
yeah. And I think that's like it's the implementation part of it.
Yes.
And then this slide shows a breakdown of our revenues. And you can see that local revenue makes up most of our funding. The next are the LCFF sources. We get very little federal revenues. So expenditures, the projected expenditures are $33.2 million, and that's an increase of $2.9 million. Salaries are $15.7 million, which is a decrease of $138,000. And this is due to vacancies. Vacancies that are ongoing and remain unfilled, the cost of those vacancies are reduced at each interim budget because there's less of the year to fund them. Also, too, vacancies that were filled since the June adopted budget, those staff members were placed at a different step in the salary schedule. We also removed 2 vacancies that cannot be filled this year. Benefits are a little over $7 million, which is a $137,000 decrease. We cleaned up benefits that were posting incorrectly, and also when there are vacancy savings, there are benefit savings. PERS is 26.81%, which is a very slight increase from prior year, 0.24%, which is good news because PERS was increasing significantly each year. STRS remains flat at 19.1%. There was a slight increase to workers' comp. And then our benefit costs to salaries are 44.8%. This has remained pretty constant over the past 5 years. The range is 44 to 46%. Materials and supplies are $1.1 million, which is a $186,000 increase. And that increased in conjunction with revenue adjustments and also to aligning the budget to actual. So what we do when we're developing interim budgets is we look at our actual expenses, and if we can see that they're trending up or down, then we make adjustments to the budget. A notable increase was the Learning Community School Success. That increased $80,000 in conjunction with the new revenue. And then also to the County Medical Services Program. Travel and conferences is $619,000, and that's a $12,000 increase. It's a slight increase. Most of that was due to increased mileage reimbursements. to staff, and then MCOE vehicle use by itinerant service providers. Those are psychologists, nurses, speech and language pathologists, mental health clinician, and physical and occupational therapists. And those staff travel all over the county to the school districts and provide services to the students at the school districts. So there's an increased cost with that. Dues and memberships is $61,000, and that's an $8,000 increase. Rentals, leases, and repairs is $221,000. It increased $50,000. The majority of that is due to us adding vehicle fleet leases. So we're starting to lease vehicles instead of purchasing them now. So it's a better bang for the buck. And we reduced the asset category. Utilities are $242,000, and of course utilities are going up, so we align the budget to match the trend. Contracts operating expense is $3.7 million, which is a $600,000 increase. This is one of our largest expenditure categories, and it includes services of professionals when our staff can't provide those services. It includes presenters, contracts for facility work, our software, auditors, legal, advertising, fingerprinting, physicals, online curriculum. Notable increases included a special education non-public school placement. One placement, it was $80,000. Home to school transportation increased $36,000. Differentiated assistance increased $185,000. That's mainly due to an increase in the carryover for differentiated assistance. And then interagency services to districts increased $50,000. We increased our staff tuition assistance $10,000. And then special education sign language interpreter services was $60,000. Equipment and facilities have increased $188,000, they've increased to $122,000. I mentioned the vehicle fleet before, so it was a reduction from the equipment and added to the leases, but there is an increase of $153,000, and that's for our new certified nursing assistant program this year, and they're remodeling the space, their classroom, so then that can begin. We added an intra-fund transfer of $2.25 million, and this is a transfer from the general fund to our capital facilities building fund to cover the cost of the solar project that this board approved. And then the next page shows a chart of our expenditures by type. And then you'll notice that all of the salaries and benefits combined make up the majority of our expenditures. And then the next largest segment is the services and operating expenditures. There's a net decrease to fund balance in the amount of $3.5 million. This is revenue of $29.7 less the expenditures of $33.2 million. And this includes that $2.25 million transfer of funds. And that transfer of funds is covered by the beginning fund balance. Expenses are more than revenues due to funding periods and carryover. And as I mentioned before, in many cases, there are multi-year grants, awards, and allocations where revenue has already been received, but not spent in the years that it was received. So all of that goes into the carryover to fund the expenses in the current year. And they essentially, these carryover beginning balance amounts act like revenue because they're available to spend. Our beginning fund balance is $29.6 million, and it includes that carryover I mentioned. And then when added to the net decrease, there's an ending fund balance of $26.1 million. Below shows a little calculation how we get to that number. That ending fund balance is made up of these different components here. So we have restricted programs, which is $1.3 million. Our commitments are $5.9 million. That number never changes unless we need to use the funds, and then we'll come to the board and ask to uncommit the funds. Assignments are 1.2 million. Our reserve for economic uncertainty, 4.9 million, and that's 15% of our general fund expenditures. And then what's left is unappropriated or unassigned, $12.6 million. And then the next graph here shows a breakdown of the ending fund balance components. In summary, the first interim budget was prepared using current assumptions and actuals to date. As a result of closing the 24-25 books, we saw an increase in the beginning fund balance. Revenues increased with the COLA and newer or adjusted grants and awards. Expenditures increased in conjunction with the beginning fund balance and revenue increases. We're also spending down one-time funds. There's new programs and enhancements and educational supports at MCOE schools. The ending fund balance is $26.1 million, and after reserving the mandatory components, the restricted, committed, reserve for economic uncertainty, and assigned amounts, there's an unappropriated amount of $12.6 million. And this unappropriated reserve should be maintained as to cover unexpected expenses that come up through the year, negotiations, and most importantly, as a safety net for any economic downturn. The first interim report will be certified with a positive certification, and based on current projections, MCOE will meet its financial obligations for the current year and 2 subsequent years.
Awesome, thank you so much. Questions, comments?
You already asked my questions.
Do we have any public comments?
I guess I could make a comment. I always am very happy to see those extra reserves. There's security in that. And ever since I've been on the board, we've had that, and it just takes the pressure off.
I agree, Dawn. I think we've got some instability in the future. Hopefully, our reserves will stay robust.
Yeah.
So this is something, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nancy, it's okay.
No, you go ahead.
I have a question about federal resources and funding. And we were asking quite a few months ago about our ability to create an analysis of what it would look like to tap into Title VI funds for American Indian students. We would need only 10 students to apply for those federal funds, and I'm wondering if we have an update on that funding.
I do know.
Okay, any further questions, comments?
I make a motion that we approve item 3.3, our approval of our 2025-2026 first interim budget.
Thank you, Mary. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by trustee Puget and a second by trustee Cruiser. Any further? Oh, sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to item 3.4, annual consideration of board compensation.
Yeah, so every year in December, we come to, through EdCode, there's each year we can look at a 5% increase to the salary or the statement that's given to the board members. Education code only allows up to 5% of an increase. So in the attachment is a calculation. The current monthly stipend is $316.77. So with the proposed 5% adjustment, that would increase it by $15.84, making the new proposed monthly stipend $332.61. So this is being presented to you for your review and consideration.
Questions? Questions, comments?
I know I've asked in the past if we could, if there was any way we could make our increase, do it one time where we've done, one-time salary increase, one for our our superintendents, if we could do a one-time increase, and we can't because it's in ed code.
Right.
I know other new members might have that question too, isn't there a way we can get a one-time to make it, because some years we're covered on our health insurance, and then
Right.
some years like this we're not, and then 2026 will probably give us the shock as well, I'm
Right.
guessing. Hopefully not, because we have great negotiators on our team, but that's all I wanted to say.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right. So I have a motion by trustee Strock and a second by trustee Cruiser. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. And moving on to item 3.6, City of Ukiah Corporation Yard Annexation.
So last month, a similar letter came to you. This is a different topic. But a letter has come regarding an annexation that the city of Ukiah is planning.
Excuse me, we're on item 3.5.
Oh, sorry.
There's 3.5.
Oh, sorry, thank you.
Oh,
We all do it.
3.5, consider approval of the California School Board Association District and County Office of Education Legal Service Agreement.
yes, so, generally, it is not frequent that the county board, our county board has needed legal counsel. And generally, the legal counsel that the county superintendent uses is the same legal counsel. However, in the past, we have kind of had an agreement or put in place an agreement with CSBA so that in the event that the board wanted to have different representation than the county superintendent, there is somebody available. And so this is kind of, this is what we would put in place in order to use CSBA. Now, there are other firms available. This is who the board has used in the past when they did not want to use the same attorney that the county superintendent has used. I will also say the other times that we have used CSBA, for example, CSBA presented to us 2-3 months ago remotely regarding our other role regarding district organization. And also, because the role of the board can include hearings or appeals for expulsions or interdistricts, in the event that a district is represented by School and College Legal Services, who we usually use, technically you can still use them, but I think that it doesn't feel quite as comfortable, and in the past we've opted to not use the same law firm that a school district has used, so that both parties can feel very assured that their attorneys really represented their best interests. So this has come to use because the agreement that we had in place has expired, so if we were to use them, we would need to bring this to you, and so we thought we'd bring it to you in advance of needing it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Nicole?
Yes, are there other options available besides CSBA?
There are so many options. Those of us that were just at the CSBA AEC, there were all kinds of law firms on the trade show floor. There are other options available.
And what would our path forward look like to explore those options together?
We can give you a list of some options. I don't have an exhaustive list, but I know some of the names. I got pens and chapsticks from some of them. So if you wanted to look and see what they have to offer, you certainly can. We use CSBA for other services, so it seemed, like I said, in the past, it had been kind of a tidy way to do that. But there are other law firms that represent school districts and LEAs. So we can, the district or the board could consider those.
Neural?
Yeah, I like the idea of sticking with our CSBA because they are the experts in what we would need.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of competent people.
Yeah.
And then there's an advantage in having a lawyer who's familiar with our operation here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I feel most comfortable exploring our options. I believe there's a lot of experts in the field. I think CSBA is definitely one of them that has a far-reaching grasp. I do think it's beneficial for us to explore the options to see what is possible. I'm curious to know what that path forward would look like. Would it be board members researching that and providing that information to Nancy for us to consider at a future board meeting? Or I'm not too familiar with that process.
The board could choose to put together, like to choose 2 board members to do that research. Work with me and staff to do that research and have a subcommittee to do that.
I'd be available to explore that option. I don't feel comfortable moving forward with an option that, with one option that we are exploring. We're not considering any other options. And I think that's a disadvantage to what we might be able to receive in terms of services and expertise.
Marilyn? I move that we approve 3.5 as it stands.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Noted. Motion passes 4-1. Okay, moving on to item 3.6. Sorry, Nicole, to have to do this to you. We're going back. City of Ukiah Corporation Yard Annexation.
Yes, I don't see that this impacts us, but we did receive a letter and the county board was identified as, and as secretary to the board wanted to bring it to you because they are holding a meeting and the letter says, please submit your project-related comments along with any proposed requirements or conditions of approval no later than 5 p.m. on Wednesday, December 17th. So if the board feels differently that this does apply to the Board of Education, then the board could determine what sort of response or if they want to send a representative to the meeting. Or if the board does not feel that, then no action is necessary.
Questions or comments?
So this, does this have to do with the annexation that Ukiah was?
No, this is different. That is my understanding that this is different. This is the corporation yard annexation.
Yeah, so City of Ukiah is annexing some other parcel that.
Yeah, so it is the City of Ukiah, their annexation of one city-owned property located within the Ukiah Valley for the use of municipal corporation yard.
All right, I guess if it's already city-owned, I don't know, how do they annex, I don't know. But it doesn't affect us, right? There's no school property?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's just if we get sent a notification, we have to put it in front of the.
And when I've reached out to them on the previous one, I asked what, why are we receiving this? And they said, oh, we want to be super transparent. We're sending it to everyone. So there's not like they think they want to make sure that other governing boards are in the loop on this so that they can maintain transparency.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. That's a great question. Do I hear a motion?
Do we need one?
No, you don't need a motion, unless you want to do something.
That's right, it could be good, okay.
Right.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, moving on to item 3.7, review by, board bylaw 9320.
So this is in relation to 3.8, with the next agenda item regarding the meeting schedule. And so this came to you last month, but it was like along with the meeting schedule. As the board considers their meeting schedule, if the board feels that there's something here that needs to change in order to accommodate something in the meeting schedule, usually the board does a first and second reading of bylaws and board policy, but that's general practice. There's nothing that requires that. I do think that there's flexibility for the board calendar. What this says in relation to regular meetings, it says the board shall hold one regular meeting each month. Regular meetings shall be held at 10 a.m., but the board may occasionally schedule regular meetings to begin at 3 p.m. to facilitate public attendance. Typically, board meetings will be scheduled on the second Monday of each month. And I don't mean, I think that is the area that is of most consideration right now, but certainly the whole bylaw can be discussed.
Questions or comments on item 3.7?
I think it'd be beneficial to remove the date and time for not just our board, but potential future boards based on the, not only our availability, but future availability of board members. That it doesn't need to be written in there and it's more of a practice. I don't know if there's practice language that can be put in there in terms of board availability, but it seems that just that piece feels a little restrictive for boards now and in the future for time and dates.
Marilyn?
I hear what you're saying, Priscilla, however, for stability and functionality, we have to have them. And I do recall that when we interviewed you and appointed you, you said you were available.
I understand we have to have board meetings. I don't think we're talking about my availability right now. I think we're talking about the language of the policy itself. And the date and time doesn't necessarily need to be in there. However, if we're going to include it, I'm not sure if we're going to talk about everyone's availability
Right.
at that time.
And I'll just say, from my experience and the different boards and community boards that I've served on, it's pretty common. And I'm wondering if it's spelled out that way in a policy so that anyone can go and access it. Like, oh, well, when are they supposed to meet so that I can, maybe attend or participate or become involved. Maybe I'm wondering if that's why it's sometimes spelled out that way. It might be helpful for the public to know when we meet and what our policy is.
One thing that we can do is this hasn't been updated since March of 2009, which is quite a while. And the time is just one component of this bylaw. What staff could do is we try to bring to you bylaws and policies to update periodically, and there are so many. And we want to, so this might be one that it might be a good time to see what CSBA has, if there's an updated version of this that seems more conducive to the work of the 2026 board rather than, you know what I mean? Does not require change, but we can bring that to you for your consideration at a future meeting.
Do we need to take action on this particular item today?
It's at the discretion of the board.
I motion to remove the date and time mandated in the policy for board bylaw 9320 and keep the mandates in terms of meeting once a month that are already stated in the policy.
Okay, do we have a second? Any further discussion? Questions, clarifying questions? Should we take a roll call on this?
No, if there is no second, then the motion dies for lack of a second.
I mean, the language, the language does say typically. So Priscilla, were you more concerned with the time or the second, what part of it is the part that you're concerned with?
Removing the date and time that's stated in there. And since that's a really old policy, I'm not sure if that was a poll from across the state of typically they meet on Tuesdays or why that's included, but I feel like these, it's a fact that these are just drafts that were provided and we can tailor them according to the needs of our community. So as long as the mandate, the regulatory mandate that we meet once a month is included, I feel like that's sufficient enough. Although the language in the policy that states a time and specific day can be removed because boards obviously are working together to find that day and time.
Marilyn?
I just wanted to talk about what Nicole brought up, is it hasn't been updated since 2009. So we could, update language in there.
My recommendation would be that, that an update in consideration of the entire bylaw. And I think for the purpose of the date and time, it does seem like I don't see that there's anything that would prohibit the board from coming up with different dates or times. Because it does say, the board may occasionally, so let me just read it again. The board shall hold one regular meeting each month. Regular meetings shall be held at 10 a.m., but the board may occasionally schedule regular meetings to begin at 3 p.m. to facilitate public attendance. Typically, board meetings will be scheduled on the second Monday of each month. I do think it is again, the board can do something different from this. I do think that if it's markedly different, we would want to update this, but I don't think it's required that we need to update it prior to making a decision. And my recommendation in general with board bylaws and policies is, unless there's an emergency that requires a specific thing to be changed, that the entire board bylaw and policy be looked at in a first and second reading so that the board has time to really give consideration. Again, I don't think that this will prohibit, I have checked with legal counsel, this does not prohibit the board from doing something that looks different from this. Again, if it's markedly different, then we would want to bring back and either, update the policy somehow so that there doesn't seem to be a conflict.
I have an idea.
Marilyn? And then
Maybe
Dave.
we,
Sorry.
maybe we change the wording or suggest, whoever's going to rewrite this. But the board may occasionally schedule regular meetings to begin at a different time. Take out the 3 p.m. at a different time to facilitate public attendance.
The board has already done that
Oh, okay.
regularly. Just like for our special board meetings in particular, but also not just special, our regular meeting in March, which we've called a study or a planning session. So we have already deviated from this. And so I think that I think the board should consider whatever will work for the board for 2026.
I think David had his
I was
hand
just,
first.
I was just going to say, I think it is important that the bylaws do say that we typically meet on these days and at these times. Now, that can be changed at some point in the future,
Yes.
but it does say typically, so we have the flexibility to, schedule one-off meetings or throughout a couple meetings throughout the year at a different time, at a different day. So I wouldn't feel comfortable just removing that language because I think the bylaws should, say when meetings happen typically.
I agree.
There's strength in consistency. We don't attract a lot of public participation, but if you're meeting at the same time of the month in the same place, that makes it easier for people. It makes it easier for me as a board member.
It's not just ease, it's also, this is an elected or appointed position, and you have to be able to look at your schedule because most of us have jobs if we're not retired that we have to consider in that. And if we
Right.
cannot fulfill that, then we shouldn't apply or run for the position.
I just looked up CSBA's sample, and they do have a sample that was updated in 2024, so I agree with Nicole that bringing it back as a first read, maybe next month, to have you guys look at that language that's all updated.
Do we need a motion to include that?
No.
Okay. Okay, all right. Moving on to item 3.8, approve the 2026 Mendocino County Board of Education meeting schedule.
I move we approve item 3.8, our 2026 Mendocino County Board of Education meeting schedule.
Can we open it up for discussion?
Should probably get a second. and
Sorry.
then-
I'll
Yes.
second.
Okay. So we have a motion made by trustee Puget and seconded by trustee Cruiser. Discussion?
I will add one thing, and that is that at the CSBA conference last week, they announced the date of the county board governing workshop in the spring, and that will conflict with the meeting in March. It's in San Diego. If the board is intending to go to that, they might want to consider that date, or if it's and honestly, if the majority of the board is still present, it's they can go to that. And typically we have not gone to every conference, but however, this one is the kickoff of the county board masters in governance.
Okay.
And so they have an in-person component to it, which I think we have kind of gone to about every other, or when they're in Northern California, we've gone to them, but this one is different because it does kick off the MIG that they have.
Right, yeah,
And
and
what are the dates on that?
10th and 11th and 12th.
Wouldn't it be more cost efficient for us to attend via Zoom?
I don't know
I
if
don't
it's
think
an
they
option for that
offer,
one.
yeah, I don't think they offer so the I think it's is it the 9th that the workshop is for the kickoff to MIG 1?
I looked online and I saw virtual options, unless I'm wrong. I don't know if,
But
Our
I
staff
have
knows
seen
this.
there are Zoom options for completing the Masters in Governance training. But this workshop, I didn't see as being a Zoom option.
it's the first of 6 courses, correct? I think the first 1 through 6 are all offered online as a Zoom option. I think the in-person options are completely voluntary and more expensive.
So I also wanted to voice, moving or potentially changing that March meeting date to allow people to attend the CSBA if they thought it would be beneficial. The other thing that jumped out at me was, I think it was a June 8th meeting that included public participation. Do we have to change that to a 5:30 rather than a 10 a.m.?
Oh, no, that one is fine at 5:30.
Oh, okay.
Only the public hearing for sufficiency is the evening one for instructional.
And that's something that happens in the fall.
Yeah, that happens in September.
So I still need clarity on the March one. So I think Priscilla's correct on the Masters in Governance. Sounds like they're offering the first component during the conference.
Okay.
However, you can attend all the MIGs remotely, I'm pretty sure that's correct. And then secondly, I'm unclear on what we would have to change. So we're thinking we'd be traveling on the night, so we have to change the night, is that what we're saying?
It would be, I'm looking.
If the conference is on the 10th, 11th, and 12th, are we thinking we cannot have our meeting on the 9th because we'll be gone? Is that what we're saying?
I think so, allowing that travel, the flexibility.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought that there was actually something scheduled on that day as well, but I could be wrong here. Now that I look at it online, I'm not seeing that.
Because we wouldn't need to travel till.
I think you're right, I think you're right, I think that was my
We can
mistake.
still keep our 9th meeting and attend on the 10th.
Okay, Priscilla?
I'm just unclear.
I think you're right.
I think there's another major conflict. Is the proposed October meeting for the 12th? Is that correct?
Yes,
So that's Indigenous Peoples' Day. Our board meeting this year also fell on Indigenous Peoples' Day, and that should be changed.
Why do you want that changed?
It's a significant day for our community, including my family. And just for public record, I requested our board meetings to change to Tuesday or Wednesday because there's several weekends that conflict with our board meetings in terms of cultural obligations for my family. So I will not support a Monday board meeting. I think that's why as a board we have flexibility to change the board meetings, even though we do commit to what we say we committed to when we say we're gonna take the role. So moving forward, I propose that we change our board meetings to Tuesday or Wednesday, given those significant cultural obligations.
Okay, should
Don't we
we,
still have a motion?
should-
We already have a motion.
we do, we have a
Mhm.
motion to
we have
approve
to-
it as written.
Yeah, we have to.
And we have a
attend that one
second
first.
by trustee Cruiser.
So we address that one first.
Okay, and so should we do a roll call?
Does that include the changes for October and May or only May?
No, right now, the current motion on the table is that it's approved as is,
Okay, without changing
without changing.
October
Correct, and it, yeah,
for Indigenous
so we have to
Peoples'
see
Day.
this motion through
Okay,
before we can entertain another.
Either see it through, or if the person making the motion wants to amend their motion and then the person seconding it agrees to the amendment, that is the other option. But you're right, you have to see the motion through.
Marilyn, is your original motion still on the table for consideration?
Yeah, it is. I want to consider the October meeting schedule for Priscilla.
What are our other options in October for meeting?
Such as, let's go to October.
So October 5th is the first Monday of the month.
So we could move it to October 5th. Okay, I will amend my motion to move the October board meeting to approve as is with respect to Priscilla's request to not have it on Indigenous Peoples' Day on October 12th, instead moving it to October 5th.
Okay, so
And are they both the June, I know that we had so many ideas out there regarding the June meetings, because we do have to have 2 June meetings. And I kind of thought, I need to stop trying to adjust this and just let the board discuss this. Are the June dates both, those are both part of your?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
yeah, the only question I brought up was because there's the public hearing, and
Oh,
right
right.
now it's scheduled for 10. I didn't know if we would have to move that to another time that day to accommodate public hearing.
Got it.
Okay, so we have an amended motion to approve the schedule, but changing our October date to October 5th rather than the second Monday of the month.
And who seconded that?
Don Cruiser, did you want to second the amended
I'll second
motion?
it again.
Okay,
And just to clarify on this motion, we're not considering doing anything with the March date any longer, because we don't need that for,
I
or
don't
wouldn't.
think- right.
okay. That's the way I understand it as well. Okay. All right, I think we're getting down to the end here. All in favor?
I would make.
Yes.
I just wanted to say I support the October 12th Indigenous Peoples' Day, observing that as a board, and I think it's good that we're doing that. Yeah. So.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Okay, moving on to item 3.9, approve the revised 2025-2026 MCOE instructional calendar for West Hill School.
Yes, so we have a few changes we'd like to request. So when we brought our MCOE school calendar to you, maybe it was May, for this coming year, we set a couple of days aside for teacher work days and emergency closure days, and we didn't notate that it would be for particular schools. We just left it, which would mean it would apply to all of our schools, including West Hills. And so we would like to do 2 updates. January 5th was previously a work day for all schools, and we'd like to change that so that it's a staff would be only reflected for our Ore Creek and New Beginnings community schools and not West Hills. And then in addition, April 6th is a date that's set aside for a makeup day, basically, a emergency snow day, etc. However, West Hills, because of the exceptional situation of where they're in, for juvenile hall, except in a exceptional situation where something is going on at West Hills itself in the juvenile detention center. There's no need for them to close if there was a snow day or some other things. So we don't really need a makeup day for that program. So we'd like to adjust those, and I believe in your attachment you have the old schedule and the request for the changes.
Thank you. Any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve?
I will move to approve.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by trustee Stock and a second by trustee Cruiser. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to reports. 4.1, the California School Boards Association Annual Education Conference.
We added this because 4 of us were at the AEC and thought rather than having everyone include in their individual reports what they learned from the AEC or anything they want to report back, we just make it its own agenda item. And I will say it was really wonderful having 3 board members there, and I got a lot out of the conference. I've been before, and it's a little different every time, so it was really helpful. And I think that now that, with a new board president, and both Nancy and Priscilla both went to the pre-conference on the for board presidents or aspiring board presidents, there were some wonderful ideas taken from that and some wonderful presenters. So I don't know if anybody else wants to share.
Yeah, I'll share a little bit. I was overwhelmed. I should have. I should have known. There's a lot of school districts and there's a lot of board members, so it was a lot of people, and it was really good. Sometimes I tend to I don't know, worry too much about things. So it was really good to have see that many people with such a positive outlook on the education in California. I attended some great individual sessions, having to do with better governance and supporting students who fall through the cracks. We attended a breakfast which had a presentation. Some students had developed in some school district in Southern California. I don't remember exactly what school district, but an app for for students in the foster system that helped them, with access to counseling, help them with to maintain their records, and a few other. It was a very helpful app that I think. So yeah, it was just good, very positive, and I'm glad I went. Yeah.
I agree with everything you said, and there's a lot of people doing really good work, and it's inspiring. And I attended a lot of sessions. I took advantage of every second I was there to learn and grow. And I think some of the ones that I enjoyed the most were you got to hear from the students and how much they really, really want a voice. They want to be heard. And so for me, that was really inspiring. Like you said, at the breakfast, there were a couple of students there that were telling their stories, and everything that they've overcome was just so beautiful, and what they're looking forward to. So it was wonderful. So thank you. Anyone else? Priscilla, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was grateful to catch up with old friends that we started in a classroom, making the difference with young people inspired by our own journeys. And actually one of them had a very, very different path, came from a very privileged background, but he's still doing this work with so much heart, and to see how we continue to carry this work forward in different leadership capacities is something that is always good to see, because a lot of people don't stay in education. They leave. A lot of young people who start teaching, they do not stay in education. And so whenever you see someone stick it through, there's no question that there's a passion there, and obviously there's a lot of skill in that building as well. One thing that really stuck with me is at the end, the president talked about bold change, bold leadership, and standing and sharing your voice in places that really need that voice, because although we've had a lot of change, there's so much more change that needs to happen, and that's why I'm here. So I really appreciated that reminder, and I think me and David were looking it up. We're trying to how long the organization has been in existence, and I think it was like upwards of 95 years or something. The school boards are really old, right? So I wonder what that has looked like over the years. I'm not sure, but it was interesting. It was definitely interesting.
I agree. All right, moving on to item 4.2, MCOE Human Resources Personnel Report.
So that is there for your viewing. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
It's very short and sweet.
Yes, this is not our hiring season, so not a lot.
All right, moving on to item 4.3, MCOE School Program and Student Enrollment Report.
So you'll see that there's not much difference from November to December. There's one or two numbers that change slightly, with the exception of our medical assistant class, which graduated. Their last day of class was on November 6th. And we began our CNA program just before our last meeting, and that is going strong.
Thank you. Item 4.4, Education Services Report. Dr. Nicole Odell again.
So you have my report. I just want to highlight a few things. Our community schools in West Hills has been involved in an application only program called High Impact Tutoring Training. They applied to learn more about how to do high impact tutoring in the classroom and how to fund it and what ways to be able to bring that to our schools. And that was a partnership between the schools, between business services with Debbie Connor, as well as Jennifer Colley from Accountability and Assessment. And so they've completed the training and now they're looking at how to implement, and they've been doing a lot of work on what that might look like at both West Hills and at the community school. They also have a demonstration night on December 17th from 5:30 to 6:30 for Ord Creek and New Beginning sites. And for accountability and assessment, the California dashboard came out in November on November 13th, and we can now look at see how all of our schools are doing. And we have 4 of our districts that exited differentiated assistance. They weren't identified for this year. It is a 2-year program, so they will complete their 2nd year with us. But they showed mass improvement in their dashboard, and so we're very excited to know that 4 of our 9 have moved out. In our student services and wellness, we've received several grants for our homeless and foster youth program. We wanted to thank the Community Foundation for their check for $7,000. Savings Bank has donated around $1,000 as well, and then our the JJCP, the Juvenile Justice, increased their funding to $70,000. So we're very excited to be able to do that and support our kids. And then today as you exit, you might see in our southeast room that we have math materials all over the place. We have our mathematics materials exhibit for all of our county schools to come and see all the new math curriculum, so that as they move forward with choosing new curriculum for their mathematics programs, we have them here for them to check out, as well as to talk to our people who have gone through a lot of training and have gone through helping pick some of the math curriculums for the state. They went through and reviewed the curriculum, one of our staff members. So that is going on for the next 3 days so that we can move forward with choosing some new mathematics.
Nice.
Awesome. Any questions for Dr. Nicole? I had a question. I think it was on page 4 of 8.
Okay.
Down at the very bottom where it says the COC update, no point in time outdoor homeless count for this year. I just had a question on why they didn't do that, or why they don't do that.
I actually do not know why they're not doing that count this year, but I can find out for you.
Okay. And then my last question is, I try to look up things that I don't understand, and usually I can find a good explanation, but can you remind me what TOOP is?
TUPE, that's tobacco, and it's a prevention education.
Thank you. Any questions? Priscilla?
Dr. Odell, do we do the same for curriculums and other subjects for our county educators?
We do. The math framework was just approved this last year, and the new math curriculums that the state reviews and approves just came out in the last month or so. And there's 66 programs, I believe, different curriculums that have been approved. So we're doing an exhibit because that's a very hefty load to review. Next year, ELA, so English Language Arts, is being updated by the state and being reviewed, and probably around the same timing, we'll do another exhibit for the English Language Arts. The state is on a schedule of when they review and update their curriculums, so we try to follow along. Most of our districts will potentially adopt new curriculum in between those times, depending on when their last adoption is or what their needs are. But this is a long time coming with COVID and the math framework release, and the curriculum slowed way down and got paused. So some districts have been waiting for quite a long time, 3 or 4 years, to adopt when they thought they were going to be able to do it a couple years ago.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, moving on to item 4.5, business and administrative services report with Heather Vantala, Assistant Superintendent.
Well, I'm gonna keep my report short, because you heard from Suzanne today, who did an amazing job. Our focus obviously has been on first interim for both internal at MCOE, and then as well as supporting our school districts and charter schools getting through their first interim reports. In the maintenance and technology world, besides providing support and stuff here on campus, there's a big focus on getting the CNA remodel completed, so we're looking forward to seeing that complete, I think by the end of this week, so that we're ready for the open house. And I think that was all I was gonna highlight for you today.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4.6, our superintendent's report and district updates.
You know, between the last board meeting and this one, there was a week of Thanksgiving and then pretty much a week of being at CSBA conference. So I have a pretty short report. Last month I was able to present to some high school students at Mendocino High School. It was fantastic. I spoke with both freshmen and seniors, very different conversations, talking about governance at the local level, talking about issues related to schools, and trying to let the conversation go where the students wanted it to go. And for the seniors, that was very interesting because the conversation ended, kind of took a path to getting to talking about how do you navigate change, like how do you figure out who to talk to when you see something that needs to be changed to make your voice heard, and how do you gather support for an idea to do that. So it was a really, I appreciate the invitation to talk to them. As we mentioned before, we've got donations for gifts for students who are experiencing homelessness. And I just did a quick review of those who have done online donations, and it's like 40 different people with donations ranging from $25 to $1,000. And then some people that are just coming in and taking the gift tags so that they can go buy the gifts themselves. It's a really wonderful time to see the generosity of our community, and I also have to say the generosity of the staff at Mendocino County Office of Education. The online, many are doing through payroll deduction or online donations, and I just really appreciate that they see an opportunity to give directly to students and they take that opportunity. You have the invitation at your desk, and I know I emailed it to you as well, the December 17th grand opening for the medical training building. So very excited about that. Also, you may have seen it on the list of events that I share with you. There's the Medical Pathways graduation on December 16th at 6 p.m. It's at the Mendocino College Theater. If any of you would like to be there, please let me know. Generally, they set up chairs for us on the stage so that so that as superintendent and any board members are there to acknowledge and be acknowledged as for the role that we play in the program. So if you're able to go to that, it's a wonderful graduation. Adult graduation ceremonies are very inspiring, because those are people that know exactly what they're gonna do in their next step, and many have overcome many obstacles to get to that, to get to that stage. So it usually lasts about, Marilyn, you're usually there, it's usually about an hour or 45 minutes to an hour.
A good hour, yeah, depends
Hour.
on how.
Yeah, it depends on how many graduates, you're right. And I think that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Could you repeat the date for that graduation?
December 16th at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
at the
Okay.
college.
Moving on to item 4.7, board member reports, and I think we'll start with Marilyn.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate, if anybody can't participate in the gift drive, to benefit foster and homeless youth, it's always feels so good to give. It's nice to be able to actually pick a tag and be able to buy that gift. It might be the only gift that child gets this year. I know we're supposed to keep it at $25. Sometimes you can't. It's always appreciated but never expected. And I'm gonna backtrack because I was a little delinquent. I wanted to give a shout out to Pat Howard. I'm hopeful it was a retirement separation. She was a great help to me several times with computer assistance and technical issues, phone, all sorts of things. She will be greatly missed, by me anyway. But we hit it
By
off.
many people,
We hit it
yes.
off really well. I hope that we found somebody great to fill those big shoes. As far as me and my family, we've been enjoying all of the seasonal events that have been going on. And I'm really grateful for you picking up the gavel because I need to focus more on my family right now. So thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
That's all.
Priscilla.
Yes, again, I'm grateful to have attended the AEC conference. It was a different perspective with through governance in education, which is different but not too far-fetched from just education in general as a practitioner. So it was interesting and good to be in the room listening to those conversations and being a part of them through the governance perspective, and not only as an educator, having to attend so many education spaces for conferences. So I was a little hesitant because it was another education conference, but it was definitely a different perspective. So I'm grateful for that. Also grateful to have attended ACCBE. They had a couple different sessions and continue to have them on court and community schools. Why I'm particularly grateful for those spaces is that they're bringing young people to the forefront. And these young people, it's like a full circle for me to see these young people being brought to the front to share their voice, because I was part of a lot of criminal justice reform in the past 10 years that changed our laws to make sure that these voices can be heard, and that we're looking at young paths as the future of our society, no matter where they land. There's going to be an impact. So we need to ensure that we are investing in them through and through to make sure that they're good, because when they're good, we're good. And what I mean by good in their language, it means that when we think about whole student education, mind, body, heart, spirit, it really matters, and it makes an impact in our community. So besides that, I have one more. President Bennett, fellow board members, Superintendent Glentzer, staff, families, and community members, it's an honor to stand here today in recognition of a young leader whose achievements reflect strength, resilience, and the rich legacy of Native nations across our region, from the lake to the coast. As a county board trustee, I am deeply committed to elevating the voices and accomplishments of Indigenous students, and today we have the privilege of celebrating one of them in a meaningful way. Today, Mendocino County Board of Education Trustee Area 2 recognizes the inaugural Native American Graduate of the Year, a practice I'm hopeful this board will continue far into the future. Sochi Williams. Sochi has demonstrated exceptional dedication not only to her academic studies, but also to her community, culture, and future. Her journey reflects the values that have carried Native peoples through generations: perseverance, responsibility, and a deep sense of connection to both land and community. She has excelled as a student athlete. She has contributed to youth leadership development in her tribal community and beyond. She plans to pursue paths that tackle some of the greatest injustices of our time. I stand here before you in December presenting this because she's graduating early, a whole semester. Your achievements, Sochi, remind us why representation and celebration matter. When we honor Native excellence, we honor the communities who stand behind our youth, and we honor the future leaders shaping a stronger and more equitable tomorrow. On behalf of the County Board of Education Trustee Area 2, it is my privilege to present you with the Native American Graduate of the Year Award. I'm proud of you, inspired by you, and eager to witness everything you will continue to contribute to our community and to the world. Congratulations, Sochi Williams. You carry your ancestors with you, and today we honor your path forward. So, go ahead and present this to her. She's here. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Well, I keep reading all of these emails from CSBA about the whole housing issue. And I have to admit, I feel somewhat helpless about it because it's such a big issue. But I have been somewhat gratified by the fact that state government seems to be getting a little bit involved in it. In particular, McGuire has made a statement or two about it. And again, I still think that it's something that the county office needs to focus on a little bit. What I know is over on the coast in particular, you know, a young teacher can't afford the rent.
Yeah.
And so it's just I've told that story before, but it's worth repeating that, you know, we had a really good young social science teacher come in and he was there for 2 years. And when I heard he was leaving, I went and asked him why he was leaving. He said, "I'll never be able to afford a home here."
Yeah.
And so again, I just feel like it's such a high priority issue, but again, I feel a little bit helpless in because of the scope of it in trying to deal with it. And yet at the same time, I feel like, you know, it's something that the county board can be involved in.
I agree, Don, they can't afford the rent, much less down payment to purchase a home.
Yeah.
Ever. That's a.
Yeah.
Refresh my memory, what was the program that you brought up a program before that worked, and I don't recall
It's called workforce housing.
Right, but how did, you brought up an example that worked really
The
well.
Presbyterian Church
Okay,
Yeah.
did a co-op housing situation or something on the coast.
And then I think, I don't know whether it was Potter Valley or one of the districts in Lake County. I think it was Upper Lake, actually, had provided some housing for some teachers there.
Potter Valley does as well. They
Yeah.
own 2 homes, and Round Valley owns 1 home, I think.
Yeah, so it has been done here.
but on a very small level.
Yeah. But again, it would be interesting to talk to those superintendents and figure out how they pulled it off.
I'm with you, Dawn, because like Priscilla said, I mean, teaching it's a passion, if you stay with it,
Yeah,
because the gratification is not financial,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, and actually, I'll touch on that a little bit too, Don.
Yeah.
Just you know, I'm from Willits. My wife is from Fort Bragg. We originally, you know, we wanted to settle in Fort Bragg, and you know, I was going to go into teaching there. I was going to be a math teacher there. That was right before COVID, and you know, after COVID, we looked at, you know, buying houses, and it was just gone, you know, and that's That's when I started working for the county, and I just don't know that even in Willits, where the housing prices are considerably less than on the coast, I don't know that I would be able to afford to buy a house on a teacher's salary, which is why I work for the county still. So yeah, I think it is a problem that we have to that needs to be addressed. Going back to the CSBA conference, there was one particular meeting that I attended on the last day that had to do with different ways school districts can surplus their land or go into what's called joint occupancy, where they aren't the landlord. They don't have that responsibility of being the landlord, but they still can have housing that they can bring that money into the school district, also provide housing for the general public, which brings prices down, but also offer those houses to teachers and school employees first. I don't know, I want to look into it more. There's a lot of regulations, and it was an hour presentation, so but it's interesting to me, and I think that's something that as a planner by trade now, something that I also want to look at is how do we get projects? How do we get housing projects? What regulations do we need to do to make it so that people can afford? And it's not just teachers, it's all kinds of professions that can't afford to live where they work, and that's something that we need to look at. And then just to finish, I did want to thank MCOE for providing the opportunity to go to that conference. It was very enlightening, and I'll just say Nancy and Priscilla weren't there, but we were at I was at with Nicole at a lunch, and there was an icebreaker activity, and she she brought home she was the emoji translator.
I won.
She won, yeah. She won. So she knows her emojis.
I love it.
I'm still working on the acronyms. I don't know if we've gotten an updated list of acronyms for our new members, but it's really helpful to have them. Probably find it in my favorite acronym.
And then just the last thing I'll say is I'm looking forward to, I'm going to be visiting some of the school sites tomorrow with
Great.
Nicole.
Fun.
Very much looking forward to that. So.
Great,
Yeah.
well, thank you. Try to get through mine as quickly as possible. On November 17th with Priscilla, I attended the Zoom ACCBE. It was, I think, the third session of a court and community school kind of deep dive, which was great. And I think they saved the best for last because they had students there, talking. And so it was really wonderful to hear. That was a really great event. And then I did the AEC December 2nd through the 5th. On December 11th at noon, I think it's an hour session, ACCBE is holding a special presentation overview of the Juvenile Court and Community School Data Report and Independent Evaluation of Juvenile Court and Community Schools. On December 15th, ACCBE is doing a charter school renewal and appeals workshop. And I think I heard a number like there's over 400 charters that are up for, I guess, their renewal this year. Do we know if we will have any that are up?
So none that come to us.
Oh, okay.
We don't oversee any charters. Our districts, I don't know, I imagine that some of our districts that are the chartering agencies will have some renewals.
Do we see appeals?
We
Or
have not
just-
for years, not since I've
Okay.
been in office, and I think it's really only been one in the last 10 years that have been
Okay.
this sport.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. December 17th is the CNA building grand opening, which I hope to attend and bring some people from the coast. And other than that, I just want to say happy holidays.
Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. I'm used to just being a regular board member. I'm waiting for Marilyn. Item 6.1, did we do 6.1? Oh, sorry. Item
I'm over here biting my
6.1.
tongue.
Next board meeting, oh my goodness, Monday, January 12th, here at 10 a.m. And item 6.2, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you so much.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.